Ladies and gentlemen, straight out of Umukwata, after doing Yeye duties, mother of the bride duties, ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you the chief, the empress, the general.
All right, Rufi on fire.
Herself.
How are you this morning?
Thank
you so much. I miss you in Umukwata, your favorite town. Ayomide was there, Adefen was there. I mean, it was beautiful.
And
thank you very much for being there.
On good authority,
yes.
She justified all the appellation that you give her. She's a real Umukwata ambassador.
Yes.
And you did great, excellent. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I lost my voice, and you know that's why I didn't come yesterday. But I hope I can manage the show today. Of course, I have to respect our viewers. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending this Tuesday morning. With just 2 days to Christmas, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has sparked online debate after advising Nigerians to celebrate the festive season without alcohol. Tinubu made the remarks on Sunday while receiving organizers of the Oyo Festival at his Lagos residence. The president urged citizens to mark the holidays responsibly, warning against actions that could threaten public order and safety. His comments have generated mixed reactions across social media platforms. Let's take a look.
The coming Christmas will be a joyous one for every one of us. Amen. The coming holidays will not be a disaster for Nigeria. Amen. God will bless all of you. Amen. You stay in peace, rejoice in peace, dance in peace. Amen. No alcohol, no danger to anybody's life. No, bro. Everybody is a member of this great family. ECO is making progress. Nigeria is making progress.
All right, Nigeria is making... No, the producer is so excited about this story. Let me take some reactions. This is from Baba Tunde, who wrote, Baba, thank you for all you're doing for our country. But sir, please, sir, permit us to disobey just this once. There will be alcohol, but we'll drink responsibly, no drinking and driving. Well, Layal wrote, President Tinubu's advice is practical and responsible, encouraging people to celebrate safely, avoid alcohol abuse, and ensure no harm comes to others, promote peaceful festivities and public safety. His reminder reflects the government's commitment to protecting lives and fostering a culture of responsible celebration during the holiday season. Well, another Instagram user wrote, make we no booze after all the wahala where they put us through. No, you go tell us what thing we go do. Then finally, another user wrote, who else is reading this message with a cup of alcohol? I mean, as fresh as the message is, I mean, it's a good advice. But Christmas and alcohol, I'm sorry, President Tinubu, it goes hand in hand. That's for me. Hand in hand. Christmas and alcohol. Yes, so, but I mean, the idea of drinking responsibly is really what it is. I mean, it goes hand in hand. Yes, quickly, and then we move to the next story.
Dear President, but I know it's
supposed to be a fun story.
It's a fatherly advice.
Yes.
You know, I mean, we know what you mean, but it's just all for them.
Yes.
But don't forget to, as you said, they should do their booze. You know, you will charge VAT on alcohol next year when your tax law comes into play. And that VAT is important. It's very dirty December VAT.
Dirty December. Do you know?
President Tinubu, you know we need revenue. Alcohol VAT is good revenue.
All right. I mean, I did enjoy the advice. It's a great advice. And, you know, talking about drinking responsibly. And, you know, you also encourage Nigerians to be, you know, really safe during this season. Prayed for Nigeria, said Nigeria will be safe. And inshallah, who defeat banditry. All right. Well, all right. We'll take another story now, highlighting the report indicating that the United States has been conducting intelligence gathering surveillance flights over Nigeria since late November, following President Donald Trump's warning of military intervention over alleged Christian persecution. This is according to flight tracking data and current and former U.S. officials. However, the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, announced on Monday that the recent diplomatic tensions between both countries have been resolved through firm and respectful engagement. Idris pointed to the 5-year, $5.1 billion bilateral health cooperation agreement signed between both nations as proof of strengthened ties, describing it as the largest co-investment by another country under Trump's America First global health strategy. The surveillance missions are believed to track down a kidnapped U.S. pilot in Niger and gather intelligence on military groups operating in Nigeria. Meanwhile, the Information Minister, Mohammed Idris, announced that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has officially declared that any armed group that kidnaps children, attacks farmers, or terrorizes communities will now be classified and dealt with as a terrorist organization. Idris emphasized that the era of ambiguous nomenclature is over, stating, "If you terrorize our people, whether you are a group or an individual, you're a terrorist." Let's take a look.
Henceforth, any armed group that kidnaps our children, that attacks our farmers, that terrorizes our communities is officially classified and will be dealt with as a terrorist organization, any individual or any group. This is the declaration that Mr. President has made. Now, the era of ambiguous nomenclature is over. If you terrorize our people, whether you are a group or you are an individual, you are a terrorist and you'll be classified as such. There is no any name hiding under this again.
All right, let me take some reactions. This is from Ade Banji, who wrote, "What about those who have already perpetrated these evils before now? Will there be accountability for past crimes, justice for victims, and closure for affected communities? Without addressing previous atrocities through arrests, prosecutions, and restitution, such declarations risk sounding symbolic. True security reform must deal with both the future and the past, ensuring that no one escapes responsibility simply because their crimes happened earlier." And Jaden wrote, and, the talk about the release of these children, the safe release of the 130 St. Mary's students is a relief, but our schools should never be battlegrounds. It's time for systemic change, better security, stronger enforcement, and accountability, so no child ever faces this terror. Again, I would also like to share my joy with the release of these abducted Niger students. Finally, they've all been released. Hopefully, they get reunited with their families. And those kidnappers, they're now terrorists, according to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So hopefully, are we going to see their arrest? How were they released? Those are some of the questions that, people were posing online. And I heard earlier that, when you guys spoke with our correspondent on ground, who said they have not really interacted with these children, which is quite worrisome as well.
Okay, so let me start by saying, the first story around the coordination, there was more light given to this surveillance so that people are reassured that it is a coordinated response, a joint response by Nigeria and the United States of America. And part of this is that they launched a security operation aimed at dismantling these terrorist enclaves across the country. So it's a joint operation. It's not just the U.S. Invading our sovereignty, I could put it that way. And it's good to see this. Remember, and that's perhaps the back on which the Minister of Information spoke around there being a coordinated response and tensions being doused through diplomatic conversations, and now that Nigeria and America are working together as opposed to, the U.S. taking on its own role and just coming in to invade and do its own investigation. So that's good to see that. And I'm hoping that this new coordinated approach will see more successes in identifying the hideouts of these terrorists and actually fishing them out. Now, going on to the designation, it's beyond the nomenclature. Because usually when we come to the table and we say banditry, kidnappers, we're like, let's call a spade a spade. It is terrorism. And now that it has been designated as such, it has far-reaching implications. Number one, it is now a direct declaration of war against these activities. Number two is that kidnappers, bandits will no longer be handled with kids' gloves. It means that now the penalty for this is the death penalty for crimes classed as terrorism. Number 2 is that it's not just the people themselves under the law that will now be apprehended. Even those who are working with them, they are informants, they are financiers. They will also could also face the death penalty as well. So this is a note of warning to villagers and people who, work with them, provide them with phone cards, food and all that, supply them with these things. You can be apprehended and you might very well face the death penalty. So this is a cease and desist at its highest level. Another aspect is also now international collaboration. This means that there can be an official extradition for those who have been suspected of either directly involved in the acts of terrorism or financing terrorism. So the names that we've been asking for, those names or the investigations under the people who are financing terrorism can then come under. So this is wider reaching. This is a step in the right direction, and this means that this administration is putting its boots down that thus far and no more. We are serious about tackling this menace, and now it is a serious crime. It is classed as terrorism.
All right, fantastic. Well, now to Oyo State. In a grand cultural occasion on Sunday, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's son, Seyi Tinubu, was officially installed as the Okanlomo of Yorubaland by Bola Ahmed, the Alaafin of Oyo. The event took place at the Alaafin's palace, where Seyi received his new honorary title, which translates to the beloved child, or the one dear to the hearts of Yoruba people. Seyi received his new title alongside his wife, Layal, who was also installed as the Yeye Okanlomo of Yorubaland. The ceremony drew high-profile dignitaries, including Senate President Godswill Akpabio, APC National Chairman Abdullahi Ganduje, and numerous traditional rulers. Let's take a look. Congratulations. Well, the Alaafin also installed former Zamfara State Governor, Senator Abdulaziz Yari, as the Alaafin of Yorubaland. The revered monarch used the occasion to assert that only the Oyo throne possesses the authority to confer chieftaincy titles bearing the name Yorubaland, citing historical precedents, colonial records, post-independent council, and Supreme Court affirmations. He explained that such titles are collective in nature, representing the entire Yoruba nation rather than any single town or kingdom. The monarch emphasized that chieftaincy in Yoruba tradition is not ornamental, but a serious responsibility rooted in history and service, urging the new title holders to discharge their duties with humility and promote unity across Yorubaland. I can hear you laughing, Rufai, but
you should just allow this fight to rest.
Okay, I want to hear the fight, but should Femi speak first and then you speak about the fight?
No,
okay, yes,
fine,
yes,
fine.
So that we can, yes.
Going to the newly installed Okanlomo and Yeye Okanlomo.
Yes.
Congratulations to both of them. I watched the ceremony. It looked beautiful, and I do think that, I know that Rufai's going to get into it, I think the Yoruba culture is a beautiful one. It is a traditional one, and to what you've just read there, I think that many people can believe that a lot of these chieftaincy titles are ceremonial in nature, that they don't actually have any type of meaning in Yoruba land, but that's not true. They are huge responsibilities, whether they are, at this level. I think when we are celebrating them so much, it feels as though they're novice and just something to throw on at the end of the names. But these are quite literally very serious titles. So I can imagine that sometimes, depending on who is installed, who is chosen, it can ruffle some feathers if people feel as though they may not be the greatest representation of the title, whether or not they themselves are of the people, of the land, that they could understand the gravity of it. But a huge congratulations to the Tinubus.
All right, so there was a huge fight, right, between what it is to be done.
And at first, let me congratulate Seyi Tinubu.
Yes.
But he needs to come and pay me for the title. Because you can fact check me. I was the first to call him Okanlomo on air. Then the title now came. So, Okanlomo Seyi Tinubu, as an Ijebu man concern, you have to come and pay me because we call that title They might have been planning it before, but we called it on air before it came.
Yeah, it did.
That's on the side. But please, for our both Yoruba revered monarchs, I beg you,
That's
please.
the Alaafin and the Oni.
The Alaafin and the Oni. Please take this fight out of the public. And I would like to beg Oni, please, Oni Risha, do not respond to this thing that the Alaafin has said. Just act like you didn't see it. The Alaafin, people are trying to settle this fight. It's not the time you will now come and claim supremacy. I have the right to be able to give title. We don't want to go through this round of back and forth again. It's not too ideal for two Yoruba kings, respected and revered Yoruba monarchs, to be going at it. And not even Yoruba monarchs, monarchs anywhere in this country, to be going at it because you hold a big institution. And like you were talking about titles, the titles are quite revered. You know, there are some chieftaincy titles that are actually gazetted in the law. Yes. That the state even pays some certain stipends for, like the Balogun I hear. It's gazetted by the law. So there are some that are ceremonial, there are some that are gazetted by the law, that they understand the structure of the land. That's what I hear, I mean, the Balogun title. So that's about it. But I would just like to beg both of them, please. Oni, please, I beg you. Bufuri Adibey, and your reply.
I do think, though, and someone has responded, I do, not the Oni, I do think that in the interest of historical fact, that we need to actually get a true picture of whether or not what he says is true or false. You can't make a statement such as that, as grave as that, and with a weighty consequence, and not have, at least let's have a fact on ground, you know, with regards to the history. I'm not in any position to the historians and those who understand when it comes to the lineage and the powers of the kings can come out, and I believe that conversations have already come out until we get that. But I do think in the interest of historical correctness and for posterity's sake, let's get a clear identity on that. I don't think it should be this versus this. Just in the interest of public education and for historical correctness, we can have this conversation.
Fantastic. I mean, these two, Seyi Tinubu also and his wife, they are, bestowed with this title that they will have to... Yeah, go ahead.
Ayo, I'm sorry. With due respect, I would not want us to go into that issue, and I'll tell you why. See, Ayo, the fight dates back to the time of, Lamidi, Ikubaba Yeye, and even Onishiju. It's not today that fight has been around. And see, when we say, let us now bring a historical assistant to clarify, there will be factions to the history. People will tell history all sorts. I just say, Eyi Babami, Ejibure, please, this is not the time for this fight.
Well, they only compared a Yorubaland title to the First Lady. That's why he's made that statement.
I know. It's not the fight outdates, predates both of them even in the first place. Ikubaba Yeye had the same fight with Onishiju. They were going out. It's been on for a while, but let's just enjoy Ejibure. We don't want the continuation of this fight. Ejibure means let's just see that assault.
Let's just see that. But like I was saying before we wrap, just to note that, the responsibility for Seyi Tinubu and Layal right now is to continue to promote the Yoruba culture, right, at this moment. And so it will be good to see what they're going to do, especially with Layal and her foundation.
Go ahead. She, in a very romantic gesture.
I thought we had the video.
It was trending. A lot of people were talking about that. We often don't hear a lot from Layal, Jade, Tinubu, but it was good to see the softer side of Okanlomo. To see he and his wife, and I thought that was really good. Good optics. Great to see them. That relationship out there.
Fantastic.
Nice to see that.
Congratulations to Seyi Tinubu and of course his wife Layal, and the Zamfara State Governor Abdulaziz Yari. Let's take our good news report now, highlighting Governor Uba Sani of Kaduna State, who's receiving widespread commendation from Christian leaders across denominations for his exemplary leadership in promoting peace and interfaith harmony. Well, the praises came during the Kaduna Unity Christmas Carol organized by the state chapter of the Christian Association of Nigeria in collaboration with the Kaduna State government over the weekend. And what made this event particularly historic was Governor Sani's attendance alongside his entire cabinet. The Christian leaders praised the governor for delivering on his promises of fairness, equity, and inclusiveness. The president of the United Church of Christ revealed that for the first time in years, Christians in Kaduna have had the privilege of seeing their governor attend a Christian program. The event transcended religious boundaries, with adherents from other faiths joining the celebration, transforming it into a beautiful interfaith gathering.
Christmas is here again today.
Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. I also want to appreciate the Jamaatul Nasr al-Islam leadership and some of the Muslim clerics here. That shows that in Kaduna, we are one. We believe in one God and we are one family. That reminds us of what we used to witness when we were young. That time, there's nothing like Muslim, Christian. We look forward to Christmas and joining our Christian brothers, just like one of the speakers have just a most reverend. We go there looking for which house we go to get the more rice and more meat when we are coming up. So we try to divide ourselves as siblings. You go to this house, you go to the other house, so that we can have more meat during Christmas. Unfortunately today, the situation is different. By the grace of God, we will bring back that by the grace of God.
What an inspiring example of inclusive governance. Uba Sani has been referred to as the governor of peace and a governor for all. Congratulations to him. Ayo, we know that this is not the first time. He has really set this standard. And, you know, it's really encouraging to see this sort of interfaith relations. And you know, that for years now, Kaduna State, who are the governors?
I don't
you want
know.
to name them?
Well, it's not like, see, in all fairness,
Yes.
I might not agree with Basani on that, but on this peace building,
correct,
and bridging the gap. Kaduna used to be hot before now. It's not like some governors. Basani on this one.
If they were looking for people that are jostling for peace prize, this is the person that should be in the running for peace prize, because there's been a lot of been polarized relationships between the South and Northern Kaduna. And what he said was very important, that he made a commitment that he was going to bridge that gap and repair, you know, the relationship that has been broken. He did it in his first term. We praised him, and he sustained the culture. Fantastic. And I do believe that under his tenure, there's been a lot more peace recorded in that region, especially when it comes to conflict between, I'm not saying it's over, there's still things to me, but he has done a lot of work and just tried to repair the damages done by the past administration. So kudos to him, and may he continue to do this. Let us see peace, irrespective of your religious
beliefs. He did to win my heart that first time. I think it was last year when he attended the carols.
Yes. That's why he just did it again. He did it again. And it's a continuous program. And we'd love to encourage other state governors, especially in the north, to continue to do, to show this sort of example. And this is truly, this is the sort of, you know, intervention that could quell all this banditry, terrorism, and the sort of evil that we see that's been perpetrating in the north. So kudos to Governor Uba Sani, Governor of Peace. Now under milestone, the nation is mourning the loss of author Christopher Mbanefo, the Odu of Onitsha, a towering figure in both the professional and philanthropic landscape, who died yesterday at the age of 95. Mbanefo later trained in the United Kingdom, where he became a chartered accountant before returning to Nigeria to build his career back home. In 1999, Mbanefo entered the world of international diplomacy, with former President Olusegun Obasanjo appointing him as Nigeria's permanent representative to the United Nations in New York. Mbanefo was also a recipient of the national honor of a member of the Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and commander of the Order of the Niger. As Nigeria mourns, we at Arise News remember him as a class act diplomat who consistently elevated Nigeria's position on the global stage. May his soul rest in peace. Now under entertainment. Nollywood actress and filmmaker Iniedo has made an emotional appeal to the National Film and Video Censors Board over the controversy surrounding her new film titled A Very Dirty Christmas. The Christian Association of Nigeria had described the film's title as offensive and a mockery of the Christian faith and called on the Film Censors Board to explain how such a title was approved for release, particularly during the Christmas season. While in the video shared on her Instagram page, Yeye stated that the film does not ridicule Christianity and urged critics to watch the film before judging. Let's take a look.
They've asked us to change the title or they're going to pull the films from the cinemas. It's just barely a few days we released. I thought we could handle it. But obviously the competition is growing every day. I'm just begging to say, please, I did take money from investors to do this film. If you pull it just because of the title, perhaps you should see the film. If it dishonors Christians in any way, if it dishonors God in any way, I will pull it. I will pull it and bear the consequence. If it dishonors God or Christians in any way, I will pull it. Because I will not be a part of something like that.
Okan President Archbishop Daniel Oko stated that linking Christmas with the word dirty diminishes its spiritual meaning and reduces a solemn religious observance to something crude and sensational. The Film Censors Board has requested the producer to modify the title, with Executive Director Shaibu Hussaini explaining that while the film's content underwent all required regulatory processes, public perception and religious sensitivity remain critical consideration for context. Now, the film centers on a family Christmas reunion that descends into emotional conflict as long-buried secrets resurface. So Yeye is saying that this has nothing to do with the title. The film has nothing to do. And she also talked about the fact that she couldn't find the word dirty, that was her original title, the D-E-T-T-Y instead of Dirty December. And I'll take Ike Ogbona's post on Instagram. He wrote in part, as artists, we have creative rights, and those rights should not be dictated by external bodies. That is why the Film Censors Board exists, to properly review and approve films before they are released to the public. It is honestly sad that after all due diligence was followed and official approval was granted, we find ourselves here. Producing a film takes an enormous amount of money, time, labor, sacrifice, and personal commitment. Promotion for this movie ran openly for over 3 months. Billboards were raised across the country, commercials aired, banners displayed, and promotional materials printed running into hundreds of millions of naira. A grand premiere was also held with the same title. During all of this, not a single concern was raised by the Christian Association of Nigeria. Now that the movie is already in cinemas, after the work has been done, and it is the time for the film to be enjoyed by audiences, this issue has suddenly come up at this stage. Changing the title is not only impractical, but extremely damaging, both financially and emotionally, to everyone involved. I believe that he was also part of he was an actor in the film. But this is quite sad. And, you know, I believe that we also discussed this sort of story when we talked about that movie with the actor who directed the film, about the Fulani herders. We discussed this idea. Yes, the head. Your thoughts really quickly on this.
Okay, so I think it's quite sad. I can understand and appreciate the effort it takes. If you know what producing a movie entails, it is very time and financially involved, and also there's a lot of backlash. She said she borrowed money. However, I do think the Christian Association of Nigeria, as the head of the Christian bodies in Nigeria, have a right to challenge whether or not the word is used. Perhaps she ought to have used D-E-T-T-Y. So the people or the body I bring into question here is the Film Censors Board. Why wasn't this flagged in the process of approving the movie? Because you just allowed a producer waste a lot of money if this movie is eventually pulled without doing your due diligence. I believe it's time for us as a people or for producers to begin to sue bodies like that, so that she sues them for damages because of the heartache and the stress they put her through. Every religious body has a right to protect their interests based on how they perceive. If it's found to be valid, they can defend it. What ought to have been done is that in the process of producing or vetting the movie, this ought to have been flagged. And I believe that the oversight body is to be held responsible and, if possible, should be sued for negligence.
Yes, Rufai.
I mean, it's a very tough one. I can only feel where Iniedo is right now. You know, borrowing movie. You don't even know if the movie is going to be successful in the first place. You don't know if you're going to recoup the money in the first place. But at least this publicity, as it is, bad as it might be, has brought some traction and some light to the movie. What should Iniedo do? I think she should, apart from this appeal, she should go to the Cannes body as a whole. Have, you know, private
Let them watch the movie as well.
Let them watch the movie. And I think I know for a fact that Cannes is very reasonable. You know, if they have to go through the process, they can go through the process and tweak many things. It's not today, you know, things like that will happen in the movie industry. You can't be too cautious. Things will always happen. I mean, I can remember when I go back to even a movie that was a popular movie on Amazon that had some depictions and representations of something around the area.
They won though. Lagos, they had to pull out some parts of the film.
They had to pull out some parts.
Gangs of Lagos.
But also, when you now check the history of those that claimed that, oh, Oyo is us. Yes, it's yours. But people have also traced the Oyo history back to Remo land. So, and that's why I say, let's not even, when we're talking about the Oniti, let's not go into history. Because history will evolve. All I just want is, please, hear Iniedo out, you know, let her come and let's resolve all of this so that both parties will not lose. And I'm not sure Khan will be happy to see that the woman loses money.
All that money. She borrowed money, you were going to say. She borrowed money from investors as well. It's a lot to deal with.
It's unfortunate. I think there's lessons to go all around. Hopefully this can be settled amicably. But I think this is another example of people not forgetting perhaps the oversight of looking at Christmas as a commercial thing when it is in its natural habitat, a religious issue. If we were to take out Christianity and put in another religion there, I think alarm bells would sound off very quickly because you didn't want to be accused of blasphemy. So as a film producer, you do take responsibility first and foremost, and she is taking this hit, and I hope it doesn't devastate her any further. But I think it's a lesson for her and for many people that when you are mentioning anything to do with religion, you have to think about these things.
But I hope this sets a precedent for the census board. They should also know that, because if it had passed approval, who dropped the ball really as well.
More interest groups should be added into like the census board.
The census board, yes. I like that idea.
Well said. Members of Muslim society and more interest group of society.
All right, Iniedo, you will survive. You will survive this as well. Well, you know, before we end what's trended, many of you have been asking where I disappeared to over the past few days. Well, I was coordinating my little sister Joanne's wedding to her sweetheart Stephen, which took place over the weekend in Obi-Onyo-Onitsha, Ukwane, local government area of Delta State. Our family was deeply honored by the caliber of dignitaries who graced the occasion, including the Delta State Governor, Sheriff Obowori, who was ably represented by his deputy, Monday Onyeme, the chairman and editor-in-chief of This Day and Arise Media Group, Prince Nduka Obaigbena, former Anambra State Governor, Peter Obi, CEO of Airpeace, Chief Allen Onyema, NDDC Chairman, Chinedu AB, and a distinguished delegation from His Royal Majesty, the Asagba of Asagba. Let's take a look.
Somebody, they say love is blind, but I did see her for your eyes, for your eyes, She found past that ego, she did you like Ronaldo, my sweetie Porero, Eminado. She like my song, her favorite artist is not Davido.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Joanne. It was truly a celebration of love, family, and community. And I thank every member of staff at Arise News. Ayo, Vimbai, Adefemi, Muiz, who graced the occasion. Thank you all so much. Of course, it was so beautiful. And thank you.
Time in yes. And I had a great experience. Thank you for being such a great host. Your sister made a beautiful bride. Was a beautiful ceremony. And your family is beautiful.
Thank you. Of course, Ademola Ojo, our digital editor, was there as well. Rufy on fire. Finally.
Big shout out to Daddy.
Yes.
Your dad.
My father.
He
yes.
asked of me.
Yes.
You know, he's my partner.
He asked of you. Yes. Where's Rufai? Plenty of people. Where's Rufai? Where's Ruben? Where's Dr. But you guys had prior engagement. But I also like to also thank the chairman, Prince Nduka Obaigbe. Always for standing by me. Now our Papa Vidato. You know, get another one. Now our Papa Vidato. Well, all right. On that note, I'd love to thank you all for a great analysis, as always, on what's trending. Again, congratulations, my little sister, Joanne Ibrahim. That's all I have for you guys on what's trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.
Cause you want my love. She no one designer. She no one Ferrari. She said I'm my lover. You belong to me and I belong to her. Oh baby, you go kill somebody. They say love is blind, but I did see her for your eyes.